Welcome, race fans, to one of the most amazing motorsport venues on the planet. 640 acres of beautiful landscape provides the backdrop for what is America's National Park of Speed, or better known as Road America. A 4-mile monster of a track that provides huge speeds, brake zones that entice a driver into aggressive moves, and of course the famous carousel and kink section. Get ready to watch round 3 of the Porsche Owners Club Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joey Atterbury, and joining me in the booth tonight is Sebastian Holmichael. Behind the scenes is our director, Christian Deploy, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Road America is home to some of the best track food in the entire country, but let's learn more about the paved stuff with our GSRC track guide.
Welcome to Road America. Nicknamed America's National Park of Speed, it's easy to see why just by looking at how the track is laid out. Long straights are a major feature, and drivers will build up incredible momentum before they find themselves interrupted by tight 90-degree corners. In fact, for a 4-mile circuit, it has shockingly few turns. It also has little in the way of variation in layouts. The main course is only broken up once with a single chicane added in the bend version. But don't take this to mean that it's a boring track. Elevation change happens many times over a lap, with a few places taking you into corners which are quite blind. But 2 of the turns on the back half of the course are perhaps the most distinctive. One is the carousel with its more than 180-degree radius. It just feels like it never stops. The other is the kink. Terrifyingly fast with very little runoff, it can end someone's race in a flash. As you'd expect, the heavy braking zones make for some ideal overtaking spots. Turn 5 sees plenty with its downhill entry. The hurried downs can offer drivers a chance at a sneak attack if you're brave, and then Canada Corner gives you one last shot before the lap is over. It's no wonder major organizations such as IMSA, IndyCar, NASCAR, and the SCCA all host major races here. All in all, many drivers rate this track as the best track in North America. Many who hop in the seat and try it can quickly understand why.
One of my most favorite places in the entire planet Earth, Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Seb, Road America, it is just a beautiful racetrack.
Absolutely. One of my favorite places just in iRacing, of course. I never been there, but I would say that's the place to travel to, with the great kink, of course, the carousel, the famous corners. And yeah, you said it, it's a monster. It's a long track. You have so many overtaking opportunities, 14 turns, 4.0 miles. This is just the epitome of racing, in my opinion.
So many passing opportunities. This racetrack is definitely going to challenge the drivers every single lap. And I want to thank all of our sponsors here with POC, including Porsche. There is no substitute. Find out more at Porsche.com. Also, Game Changer Wealth, helping you become a game changer with wealth. Contact them today at GameChangerBR.com or 225-664-2565. Also, we've got our race details, Seb. It is just round 3 that the drivers are going into today.
Again, with a 30-minute race, the season is just starting. And yeah, it's a great track selection, of course, here in the Porsche Owners Club.
Yep, and we're going to be in those multi-class cars, the Porsche 911 GT3, as well as the GTP cars today. Remember, all the previous seasons of POC were just a single class, so we're doing multi-class racing here in 2024, and the drivers are actually in a 30-minute qualifying session right now that'll set the grid for the 30-minute race. And another big change, other than the multi-class, that's going to be a talking point all day today, because it is every time at Road America, is that open setup. The downforce levels, do you go for more of a medium downforce, which provides you that mechanical grip? or do you start to trim out the wing for those top-end speeds? That provides you the position to go late lunging into some of those brake zones. So I mentioned that we are in qualifying right now. It's currently Dustin Heindel that is leading the way in the GTP class. And as I say that, Sagar Dawan actually takes the top spot, provisional pole in that number 501 at a 209.863. The GT3 class is held by Matt Steele in the number 5 car, currently at a 226.848. But as you can see, Seb, it's not a clear day at Road America. We've got some weather the drivers are dealing with.
Yeah, not at all dry. It's wet. We have a wet race here at Road America. And yeah, as we know, the GT3s, the GT3 Porsches are very, very good in the rain in iRacing, but the GTPs are a huge, huge challenge.
They just carry so much speed through all of the sections of the racetrack, and I think what's even trickier is that right now we've got a drying racetrack. So in practice it was relatively dry and then it got wet. It rained pretty good at the beginning of qualifying, but this is a 30-minute qualifying session, and seems like the times are actually coming down. The first times in the wet were kind of like at a 219, 220 for the GTP cars. Right now, BJ Fulton took that provisional pole away again at a 209.1 from Sagar Dawan, who just had it a minute ago. So I think as the time is running out, the track is also changing, and you know that if the track is changing and drying up, it's just going to get faster.
Yeah, but it's also very treacherous. You can go faster and faster. Of course, the wet tires getting warmer and warmer, but then there's this one spot where slight puddle is, and then you're off into the barriers. So you have to really, really be focused to catch this slightly drier line.
And as that line, I believe that was Dawan coming out of the last corner there, just getting the GTP a little bit loose. Let's see if he is going to be setting a lap just based off of what the lap time is right now. I think he's going to be starting another flying lap right in front of that pink Roxy car of Matt Steele. So watch the 501 go through turn number 1. And I think that if we get more and more heavy rain, we're going to see more of the rain line. We see Sagar go to the outside there. You want to stay off of that normal, traditional dry line when the racetrack is wet, because that's where all the oil is. It's all slick, so you actually go to the outside of that racing line, try to find some of that grip that the wet tires will be able to pick up. But as the conditions change, it's always kind of a double-edged sword. Which line do you want to be on, the dry line or the wet line? And that can happen quite a bit if you take too much speed.
Yeah, super difficult for the drivers, even, of course, with both classes on the track here in the qualifying. That's quite unique.
It's going to be just traffic management also throughout the race, because this racetrack, it's got plenty of paved runoff, but it is relatively narrow when it comes to the racing lines, even more narrow. We're talking about if it's raining, and then you combine the two different classes, that closing rate, the different speed out there. Drivers are going to have to judge that. And Seb, you actually had brought up a really good point. Before the show, we were talking with Christiana, our director, and just the weather, of course, it plays a factor in it, but the visibility that comes with it off of the start of the race, it's going to be something difficult for the drivers to deal with.
And of course, the amount of spray will be huge at the start with the cars all packed together. And one tiny mistake can take out several cars. I hope not. So everyone is getting through the first lap, and we have some racing action on the track.
Part that we're watching on the screen that we just clicked off of was Ezra Kelderman, that blue and yellow number 14, and this is Jim Slavic here in the GT3 car. The number 10 car is currently sitting 8th in the GT3 class, and it's easy, obviously, if you are a Porsche fan, to tell the difference between the two cars. The GT3, obviously, more of the production-based 911 car that you kind of see going on the road. Now, obviously, it is the race car as Jim slides a little bit wide there in turn number 8. And unfortunately, here in iRacing, if you go off track like that, Barney, he's watching you, and he'll give you an incident point. He'll give you a 1x incident point, and what that does is basically disallows that lap time. So everything that Jim had worked for in this lap around Road America, he's basically going to have to hit the reset button once he comes back up and starts to go across start finish again and start a new lap.
But it will be not possible with 1 minute and 30 left for Jim, to make another attempt.
And maybe. It depends on how each of these sessions, Seb, is set up, because they could end it on the 1 minute 20 left that we've got here, or they could, since it is an open session and multi-class, let it run for another few minutes. So basically, if you have started your lap before that checkered flag comes out, you do have the opportunity to complete it. So we'll just have to see with 1 minute left here on the board if they're going to let all of the drivers come up and complete a lap. And if so, Sagar Dalwan coming up out of Canada corner right here will be able to complete this lap and potentially start another one.
Yeah, that's true. But in the end, as you said it, Barney will decide that.
He is always looking over, isn't he? It doesn't matter what part of the racetrack that you're at, Barney is there. As we get Sagar coming across the line, and he takes the fastest lap right there. You see it, purple 205.201. So put him on provisional pole. Everybody else is going to try to catch that time, and quite honestly, that is a few seconds ahead of BJ Fulton, who's currently sitting in second place. This is Chad Duncan, the black and yellow number 83, coming down through that turn 8 section and is leading into the carousel and then into the kink.
Yeah, he did put his lap together. But yeah, you can be happy to have even a time on the board with the rain starting again here a little bit more, it seems. And you can see what you can't see right now.
This is a great example of exactly what you were talking about, is that the visibility, the spray as we ride on board with Chad Duncan. That's Michael Johnson directly in front of him. Now, these two cars are sitting in 5th and 6th provisionally, but it's actually the other way around. Michael Johnson sitting 6th. Chad Duncan is the car behind, sitting in 5th place, and I think that they're actually both on a little bit of a cool down lap, maybe just getting in a little bit more practice as they come up over the start-finish hill. See that checkered flag to end qualifying. We will have 2 minutes remaining here for all of the drivers to complete that lap. So as long as you started it before the checkered flag came out, you will have the opportunity to finish it. I think maybe only Doug Boccignoni and Jim Slavic are going to be the 2 GT3 cars that have that opportunity still.
And already in a top 10 position. And yeah, 1 minute 40 at the kink. No, he stops here, but he could have finished it.
Here is Jim Slavic coming across the line. 2:30.252 is his fastest time. He had just laid down a 2:30.364, so that is officially going to end qualifying, and it will set our grid here in just a few moments for round number 3 at Road America. I can tell you that the number 501 of Sagar Dalwan, the GTP class, is your pole sitter. Lined up next to him is going to be the number 82 car of BJ Fulton. Dustin Heindel starting 3rd with Ezra Kelderman in 4th. Chad Duncan in 5th. Michael Johnson starting 6th. Dylan Scott in 7th. And then Will Castillo starting in 8th, as well as Michael Bolton is going to be starting in 9th. I know that this grid is showing a little bit different here, but that will be the GTP cars. And then over in the GT3 class will be Matt Steele, your pole sitter in that, in the number 5. Mark Rondeau will be starting in 2nd. Doug Boccignoni will be starting 3rd in class with Federico Del Toro 4th in class. Jeffrey Schulam will be starting 5th in class, with John Momeyer starting 6th in class, Larry Haas 7th, Robert Leclerc in 8th, and Jim Slavic in 9th. So that is all 18 cars. I know they're a little bit bejumbled up on the screen right there because we had a couple of GTP cars not actually put in a qualifying time, so just got a little bit shuffled up on the screen right there. And we also have a shortened pace lap, Seb, so thankfully we don't have to do 4 miles around this place at pace car speed. They're actually starting just after Canada Corner, so relatively short run, but the drivers better get ready right here. It seems like the weather's lifted a little bit, but not all the way.
Yeah, that's better for the drivers, of course, and of course I would say if it rained more, a full lap behind the pace car would maybe be better to get the tires in a better condition for the racing. But I really like it that you can start here right in front of Canada Corner. Yeah, I must say, if I have to do a full lap in the USF series as example, it's yeah, it's very tiresome.
It just starts to drag on a little bit, and your brain starts to wander, and that's exactly what you don't want right before you start a race. And it was actually my mistake. They start just before Canada Corner, just after the kink here, so they kind of get the run down the back straightaway. And I'm looking at the weather tab over on my screen, and yeah, we do have a little bit of rain still in the area, but I think that after this little rain cell moves through, we're actually going to be getting dry weather racing, so this will be very interesting. Do the drivers adapt, come in, put the dry weather tires on, or they just stick with it with the wet tires throughout today's 30-minute race at Road America? We see the GTP cars coming through turn number 14 here. Final corner on this circuit. Just a very, very small gap before we get back to those GT3 cars, but the pace car is already off and on pit lane, and I can tell you, GTP is doing a little bit of posturing as they come up the hill, still patiently waiting for our leader to stand on the gas. There's Barney with the green flag in the air. We are racing for 30 minutes at Road America for the Porsche Owners Club, and relatively calm, cool, and collected up front so far. It is our leader, our pole sitter, that leads the way into turn number 1, side by side for second place between Fulton and Heindel. I believe that Fulton, no, it's Heindel that's going to move up into second as they make a really late lunge on the brakes going into turn number 3. The GT3s are actually starting to mix it up with some of the GTP cars as we go out onto the straightaway for the first time.
And what a feast it is, these nice cars from Stuttgart in Germany. Here on the track, Road America, the GT3s and the GTPs getting added wide to the second corner already. And here also in the braking zone, oh, tough to see the braking markers, of course. But no spinner up to this point. That's really, really great.
Will Castillo, great avoidance right there. We're riding on board. Oh, and there's another huge loose moment coming up over turn number 6. That is up and over a crest. The car gets extremely light, and the fast hands from the number 18 driver was able to save the car from going spinning around. But I had mentioned GT3 cars right in the middle of the GTP pack, at least right in the back end, and actually Will Castillo just run around in turn number 8, the corner that these drivers, Larry Haas and company, are coming up to. There's that orange GTP car. Oh no, keep it on the track. Jeffrey Schulam, Larry Haas, everybody gets around. They advance down into the carousel, but Will Castillo was our first GTP car turned around on the opening lap.
And now some spinners, but no big crashes, so nobody's out of the race. Everyone could recover the car from the gravel.
It's actually, I think, Matt Steele. Sorry, Seb, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. I think it was just making a comment that Mark Rondeau, our GT3 leader, lost a little bit of time to Matt Steele in that Roxy Porsche.
Yeah, also great livery decision, of course. If it's a Porsche GT3, this is the livery to go at the moment, I would say.
Absolutely a fan favorite, and I know that I believe it's iRacing that does those cars, and they do such a great job with just interaction, fan interaction. They've created these great characters to go along with the race cars. If you are unfamiliar, that is the dinosaur-themed car that we're seeing on the number 5 of Matt Steele here. He shows in 10th place overall, but I'll let you know that is second in the GT3 class. Now, in the real world, in IMSA, this racing team has 2 different Porsches. This pink one is actually the second car. The green one, Rexy, is their primary car. Then Roxy here is the pink one, and they actually have a purple prototype that competes in LMP2 as well. Seb, I'm sure you've heard of Spike, the prototype.
Yes, of course. So if you watch, what is it called, IMSA? Yeah, you can find them there, and yeah, huge marketing also with die-cast cars and plushies and whatever. So also, of course, my 2 daughters love them.
Like I said, it's hard not to become a fan, and when you can have kind of just that interaction with everybody, it just makes everybody a fan of the sport. They want to come and watch, and look at the run Dustin Heindel got on BJ Fulton. I think there's something wrong with BJ Fulton's car right now, because he has dropped off the back of Sagar Dhawan. You see 5 seconds, right? And we're only working lap number 2, so that number 501, our leader, has officially set sail. And oh, Heindel, hang on to it here, right in front of Kelderman as well as BJ Fulton. You know, Seb, you were making the comment during qualifying that these GTP cars don't look very stable in the wet. And these 3 cars, this is second, third, and fourth in the race. All of them are just squirming around, just trying to find the grip on the track.
Yeah, and that's the most difficult part. I mean, if the track is in a stable condition of wetness, let's call it that way, it's okay. But the drying track is especially difficult in iRacing. One tiny acceleration move in the wrong spot, or one wheel in a little bit of puddle, that can take you out of the race here. And with no view in front at some parts, that's especially difficult.
Got some change for position. We were watching, I believe it was Michael Bolton and Chad Duncan, but this car right here, Dustin Heindel, continues to drop positions. Now, he was sitting in second. Now he finds himself in 4th place. Ezra Kelderman in that blue and yellow number 14 car had just gotten by, I believe, in turn number 3. So call it this 3-pack of cars, still trying to kind of figure out exactly who wants to run where. Sagar Dhawan continues to just run away from this entire field. Now 6.5 seconds out in front of BJ Fulton. But I think if we're looking for some racing, I think definitely Kelderman right here on the back of BJ Fulton in terms of the GTPs is definitely our closest stuff.
Yeah, that's right. And Kelderman sticks to Fulton in front, while Heindel seems to be falling away behind them little by little.
Also seems...
sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
But also a point is, if you create a little bit of a gap, maybe you have an easier way for the next couple of laps before the track maybe dries out, and then Heindel maybe pushes the limit a little bit more.
I think we're also seeing... I got a bit distracted with the weather. Now, typically a talking point at Road America is definitely the downforce, or call it the setup that you're going to put on the car. Now, if you trim out the wing, lower that rear wing, you get a lot more top-end speed, and traditionally at Road America, that provides you a fast race car. In qualifying, you actually want a little bit more stability and a little bit more downforce in the car. That can actually provide you a faster lap time overall. Now, I didn't even think about the weather, but if you've got a little bit more of a traditional race car here at Road America, it is going to be a handful in the wet, right? You want more downforce, but on the top end speed, it's going to be a monster down the straightaway. So I think it's going to be very, very interesting to watch all of these cars because we don't know what types of setups the drivers have on. Couple that with the changing track conditions, I just think it's going to be this ever-evolving claymation model, almost like a dirt track where you're just going to have to try something different every single lap.
And then for me, it seems like Dawon already trying to find some wet spots on the straights for his wet tires so they don't heat up too much.
Great observation, and you were actually seeing it right there going down into turn number 8. Let's just ride on board here with our leader maybe for the next half a lap or so. You see him all the way to the outside of the carousel and then bring it in, kind of call it middle of the track right there, just where the front tires can provide that grip. Just off of the racing line through the kink. So just as Seb was saying, he's looking for all of the water still. He's leaving 2 tires kind of on the dry line to provide that loaded amount of grip. And then also using a little bit of that wet racing line still. It's just kind of the, I would really call this the half and half right now, because it is not truly full committed to the wet line where you're rim riding around the outside, but you're also not hitting the apex curbs all the way down to the inside. And you see right there, right in the middle of the track, it's still quite slippery. So I think Sagar just kind of choosing a little bit more of a conservative approach, a little bit more of the half and half.
Yeah, I mean, with 11 seconds in front, he can do whatever he wants. He's the fastest man on the track and can bring it home just by, yeah, keep up to his style of racing here in the rain.
I noticed that depending on the cameras that we choose, it can be raining on one side of the racetrack and clear and sunny. You see it nice and sunny down here. It looks all right down on the low parts, down coming into Canada Corner. Got some sunshine glaring off of the racetrack. And then through others, we actually have a little bit of rain still coming down. I can tell you, though, that once that rain stops, it's going to be clear on the horizon. No more rain forecasted for the rest of the race as we watch Matt Steele here in this number 5 GT3 car. He currently has a 4.8 second lead over Doug Boccignoni. He had a little bit of a scrap, I think it was with the second place car who qualified there with them, but ever since, Matt Steele has been able to run away with it a little bit. I believe it was Mark Rondeau in the number 11 car that was running up there earlier, but Mark has dropped well down the order. He's currently running in 7th in that GT3 class, so I will have to go back and take a look, see where that mistake happened.
While the leader, of course, in the GT3 eating up all the curbs on the apexes. But everyone still tries to avoid, of course, the curbs as far as it goes. Also here in the carousel and also, of course, in the kink, because they are mostly wet.
I can report that as we watch Ezra Kelderman here, it was unfortunately Mark Rondeau. Now, I'm going to give this report kind of in past time here because this happened quite a few laps ago. I'm looking at it on lap number 2. Very unfortunate. Mark Rondeau was leading the GT3 class at the time. He went through turn number 5, got a little bit wide, and Seb, you know on turn number 5, it's got those rumbly exit curbs out there. Well, he stood on the gas, the rear end stepped out, and he actually looped it around, made heavy contact with that driver's left wall trying to get on the gas too early. That's where he lost the lead, and he's actually still got heavy damage still on the front end of his car.
Oh, nice catch here, yes. And of course, if you have now aero damage, it doesn't affect your top speed, of course, so much. But with hitting the wall, maybe he has also a bad steering, so that could be a very, very great problem in the rain, of course.
Jeffrey Shulam here going through the kink. A little bit of a wiggle there going in, maybe just a second decision on exactly when he wanted to kind of turn the car in, and kink is one of the highest commitment corners in the dry, in the rain, even more so. Now, this battle is still going on. I got to give a tip of the cap here to both of these drivers because they've pulled away from fourth place Dylan Scott now, which he actually overtook Dustin Heindel maybe a couple laps ago. But these two have provided some great racing. In Ezra Kelderman's point of view, it's not easy to do this with the spray constantly in your face, and if anything, he's actually got a really, really good run coming around the outside of the carousel using that rain line. He's going to try to provide that draft, maybe make a move going down into Canada corner here, Seb.
Oh, and he's going for it on the straight, side by side, into Canada corner, but yeah, makes it already in front before turning in. And that's the good way, not going side by side here into the bends. Yeah, great stuff. He worked so hard for it, and now he got second spot.
That was a textbook move, and like you said, he did work hard. I mean, we're working lap number 6, completing lap number 6, I should say here, starting lap number 7, so this has been, call it a 15-minute battle between those two, and now battle is on for what is second place in the GT3 car. So this is a podium fight here. The lead car in frame is Doug Boccioni in the green and blue number 59. Then John Momeyer, and call it that multicolored, I call it, reminds me a lot of a BMW art car, Seba. I know that's the wrong manufacturer, but that's really what it reminds me of.
Yeah, true. Very colorful, also easy to spot in the rain. So that's also good for the competition, but yeah, it looks nicely artsy, so that's a good livery decision, of course. Ooh.
Oh, hang on to it, Sagar. Our leader just running a little bit wide there in turn number 8. It's a tricky little brake zone. There's tons of elevation at Road America through the carousel, obviously. I think that's what it's most well known for. But coming down the hill from 7 into 8, it's very deceiving how steep it is, and coupled that with the brake zone, you just find yourself not being able to slow down the car as much as you want. Now, Sagar is going to take a very conservative approach, passing Mark Rondeau. You see Rondeau clearly knew he was there. He left the apex open down there at Canada corner. Both of those cars going very, very conservative. They don't want to run over anybody. They don't want to bang into doors. Just want to keep on chugging along. So move that 501 up past one more GT3 car, and I can report 14.5 seconds is what he's got over Ezra Kelderman. But this battle right here between Momeyer and Boccioni, I think is still probably our best stuff on the racetrack. Jim Slavic and Federico Del Toro are also in one. So got a couple GT3s here that are going to be occupying the screen. And as I say that, I think it's Doug that's gone way off the track there in turn 3. You don't see him. There he is, coming back onto the racing line. So unfortunately, he has to relinquish second place. If anything, I'd be worried about Larry Haas coming up in the mirror now, because he's only about 1.2 seconds back.
And the leader, so get the heart rate down again after this incident and check your mirrors, but he did.
Called it. That GTP car comes up extremely fast, just the closing speed between the two classes, but as always, respect shown with all of the drivers here at the Porsche Owners Club. Up over turn number 6, through the fast kink of turn number 7, not using as much of the exit curbs, especially considering that they're wet here right now, as we traditionally would use in the dry. But still, quite grip out there. And actually, did you see that? Our leader had just run off in turn number 8. He was fully in the gravel. What was a 15-second lead is now down to 11 seconds. Got to be careful.
Yeah, we are just over halftime, so I was sure that Kelderman never could keep up with him again, but now 5 seconds prepped. So one or two of these incidents, and it gets a little bit trickier for Darwin.
battle later in the field as we see one of the GTP cars kind of scoot around. Leclerc is going to go to the inside. No, he's not. He's going to kind of fake the move in the kink. I don't blame him. It's not really a brake zone, so unless you've got dramatic closing speed, it's really tough to make a move. But this is for 8th and 9th in the GT3 class. So Jim Slavic is that orange and black Porsche leading these two cars. You've got Robert Leclerc here in that second, another one of the art cars painted identical to that John Momeyer car that we see a little bit further forward now. Ooh, and this is actually for position here. So Dustin Heindel has caught back up to BJ Fulton, and now Heindel is the one leading up the hill with Fulton grabbing that slipstream. They both go around the GT3 car, but this is a fight for the last step of the podium in the GTPs.
And podium fights are the best fights, so let's hope this will create some battles. While, okay, this is tricky with the GT3s in 2 positions here on the straight, and he has to make the swerve. But Kelderman keeps his car on track, of course.
A train of, call it 3 GT3 cars. Blue and green, one of Doug in the number 59. You got Larry Haas in this yellow and green liveried car. And Jeff Schulam actually is not very far back from these. He's only about 1.3, 1.4 seconds back. Headed downhill into this tricky turn number 8. You see a couple cars directly in front of them. Seems like they keep it on the racetrack. Oh, almost so close to sliding off there. I think that was just a really good example of the wet racetrack, right? You're just praying for that car to stop, and eventually the front end does turn, and you say, thank you, Lord, so much for saving me.
Also maybe a little bit too much speed by Mr. Haase, and then he applied the brake a little bit too strong, understeered, but he did catch it before grass and gravel.
Going through this back straightaway, jump on the brakes for Canada Corner, known as turn number 12. I mentioned at the lowest part of the circuit, and more GTP cars actually got really choked up right there, and now makes a huge shunt to Jeff Schulam right there at the top of turn 13. And we not only have a GT3, but Dustin Heindel involved. He's that black and blue GTP car that's escaping out of the grass right there. What happened was Heindel caught Schulam in Canada Corner. I just got a little boxed in coming up the hill, and then made contact at that turn 13, sent both of them around, and unfortunately our first real multi-class incident of the day.
And I think in the last corner, the black and orange GT3 also had a moment, maybe spun to the inside, but I don't know. Hopefully not, but with that incident between the multi-class cars, it was the first one, as you said, so it's still good racing between, and respectful racing between the cars on track.
Right on board with Heindel. Now, this was the car that had made the contact, and I don't see any steering damage or anything of the sort. So maybe Dustin got away with one, and I'm going to say with 8.5 minutes left, you see that GTP car right in front of him. That's actually for position. That's BJ Fulton in the number 82. We're actually catching one of these GT3 cars going into turn number 8, so I actually expect BJ Fulton to get choked up right here. Here's a big closing right with Heindel. He's going to be all over the back of that third place GTP car, scoot to the outside of the GT3. Oh, a little bit of a roadblock between the two. I would expect the prototype to have the grip, even in the wet, to go around the outside of the production car in the carousel. There they go. But it is a little bit of a draft fest. Seb, this might be another passing opportunity going into Canada Corner.
Yeah, it's good. We have a battle, and going too wide with the GT3 in the carousel is, of course, not only a matter of your own grip, but also watching the GT3 if he has the grip on the inside.
come up the hill here. That was actually a really good point because with that GT3 is on the inside and loses front end grip or rear end grip, right? And just slides out into that outside line. Well, that's exactly where you placed your car at your prototype. So yeah, you got to be a little bit careful there, maybe on entry. Make sure that GT3 secures the line to the inside as Dustin Heindel is still trying to close the gap now on BJ Fulton. I think where I noticed the biggest closure rate is in the brake zone. It seems like Dustin might be a little bit more confident on the brakes going in. And going into turn number 3 here, he's actually close enough. Actually lifts just a little bit early, maybe trying to focus on the corner exit, and that's exactly why you saw him have that huge wiggle as he tried to go to the accelerator and just lacked all of that grip on the back end.
At one point is the confidence, another point is a target ahead. Get a podium spot here tonight.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we got problems with Sagar Dawan right now. He's 3.5 seconds off the lead. He spun it going into turn number 8. I'd mentioned that he had gone off the racetrack a few times in turn number 8, and he completely lost it all by himself. Tried to get it back going, did a huge donut on the racetrack, and now he's only 2.9 seconds. There you see the car directly behind is Ezra Kelderman. That is for the race win.
Okay, he lost over 10 seconds, and now Kelderman is closing a little bit, under 3 seconds at the moment, just over again. So it really depends if Dawan has his nerves back into place.
Yeah, you just kind of got to forget everything. Have the memory of a goldfish is what they say. Just keep on chugging along, forget that mistake like it never even happened, and almost contact between Heindel and Fulton. I had mentioned, I think that Dustin, the second car in line here, is a little bit more confident on the brakes, whether that's just saving a little bit more grip in the tires or just knowing where the grip is on the racetrack right now. And oh no, we've got a lead change.
Yep.
Sagar Dawan went off in turn number 1. I wonder if there's problems with this race car. It certainly looks like there is. Yes, heavy steering damage. Your pole sitter, your previous race winner, is now out of the race.
With 5 minutes to go, and he had 15 seconds at the last lap as a lead. Yeah, devastating.
I'm not sure what happened. I'm going back and looking on my screen, and going into turn number 1, there's no damage on the car. You know, the car is tracking straight. He just had a huge moment, lost the rear end, and then nosed it into the tires, the front left corner into the tires, and that's what provided that steering damage. We heard Seb talk about if you get steering damage on one of the cars earlier, that it's pretty much game over. You can't drive the car straight anymore. You lose a ton of time. Just such a shame for that number 501 car that looked like he was on rails, had a couple little mistakes, but just very, very unfortunate. But hey, that provides an opportunity for Ezra Kelderman, BJ Fulton, Dustin Heindel. These two cars are now arguing over second instead of third.
That's true. One GT3 went to the pits, maybe for some more fuel. So with the open setup, of course, there is the responsibility on the driver to also put in the correct amount of fuel and calculate that. So that's another thing you have to think about.
What's even more difficult about that, now iRacing does provide the fuel calculator, so it'll automatically kind of project how much fuel you're going to burn, but let's just throw a scenario that you're getting ready for this Road America race all week, right? It's been 2 weeks since POC has done a race, so you want to go out there and do practice. As Heindel goes to the inside, I wasn't expecting this move into turn 14, and now it's going to be a drag race. He actually gets a tremendous launch out of the corner from the inside line. You see him actually out-dragging BJ Fulton. I think that Heindel, with the confidence that he has shown on the brake pedal, as long as he leaves that open lane to the outside, there's the lift from the 82. I think that Dustin should secure this second place, and barring any mistakes, should drive away from BJ Fulton, securing that second place out there.
Yeah, there was a slight wiggle in the band, and then he took the opportunity. Heindl now in P2, but it is not over, I would say. In the draft, maybe BJ Fulton can work his way back for 1 or 2 more attacks.
As we've got about 2.5 minutes left on the board, I'm going to give a quick rundown of the GT3 order right now. We've got Matt Steele leading the way in that number 5 car, that pink Rexy-themed car. Doug Boccignoni had a terrific couple moves earlier, and he finds himself solidly in the second place in that blue and green number 59. Larry Haas is going to be the next car, about 5.5 seconds back, going through turn number 1 right now. Finds himself comfortably in third place. And I think the story of what if is actually going to be the next car in line, the 4th car, Mark Rondeau. Remember, he started up on the front row, was leading the GT3 class, and then had a little bit of an incident in turn number 5 early on. That's why you see the heavy damage on the front end of this, kind of call it gray and orange Porsche. And then next up, we've got Jeffrey Shulam in the number 371 car, sitting in 5th place in the GT3 class. You see that purple GTP of Michael Johnson going around him. Robert Leclerc is sitting 6th in GT3s in that number 710 car, up a couple positions from where he started. Jim Slavic in 7th place in the GT3s, while we've got John Momeyer, our last car running in the GT3 class, rounding up the field in that number 6 here. We've actually got Barney waving the white flag, which means 1 more lap to go for our GTP leader, Ezra Kelderman, out front. So he is going down towards turn number 5. Everybody else behind him will be seeing that white flag, getting that 1 lap to go. But Seb, this has kind of been a race that has fallen into Kelderman's lap. He had a great battle early on. Remember, it took him about 5 or 6 laps to get around those couple of GTP cars. The lead was gifted to him, but he's just got to keep it together for another half a lap to collect the victory.
Yeah, again, he worked for it, the 5-6 lap battle. Then he, stuck in a position behind the leader, which still put pressure on him, which showed with 2 incidents in 1 lap. And now he's the leader, half a lap to go to put his GTP on the top spot.
Through the fastest, most daunting section of the racetrack, the carousel exit keeps it well off of the grass, and now last time through the kink, all the way down to the apex curve, once again keeps it well clear of the exit and any sort of grass or puddling. Jump on the brakes, maybe a little bit early here with a 14-second lead. Just want to make sure you get the car completely slowed down. Roll onto the throttle easy, and pretty much from here on out, you just want to drive the car in the middle of the racetrack. The nice slow speed. Turn number 14, the last corner on the racetrack. And now stand on the gas, climb up the big hill here at Elkhart Lake. Ezra Kelderman is going to claim victory for the Porsche Owners Club Round 3 at Road America.
Yeah, great stuff, great victory. And yeah, he's celebrating it in style here.
This battle right here, Dustin Heindl is going to finish in 2nd place. The car in front was actually Jad Duncan, that other GTP car, as we get BJ Fulton across the line. That's your podium in the GTP cars. This is Dylan Scott coming through the final couple corners. But this right here, Seb, is our GT3 leader, Matt Steele, coming through the kink.
Yeah, also the half lap where you don't need to think, you don't are allowed to think about anything other than keeping the car on the track. But he did it so good over the course of the last 30 minutes, so I would assume he throws this into the bin.
I wouldn't expect it either, but, you know, it is never over until you physically cross the line. You know, I've been in a position where I've been sitting there watching the race car go around and the social media people come up and say, hey, let's go down to victory lane. And I say, no, absolutely not. Not until we cross the line. Matt Steele in the GT3 class will be your winner here at Road America. A great run for Roxy in that number 5 car. Doug Baccioni here will claim second on the podium. And I believe that Larry Haas is probably coming through the final corner right now. Makes the climb up the hill and will round out your GT3 podium.
Yeah, also great stuff. Keeping the GT3s on the track and into the finish.
We will officially get your results on the screen as the cars come across and finish today's race. I think we still have a couple out there. John Momeyer, Jim Slavic are completing the race, coming up through turn 13 and 14 right now. But your winner in the GTPs was the number 14 of Ezra Kelderman. Next to him, I'm sorry, not next to him, but behind him is going to be Dustin Heindel. Dustin had a pretty eventful race. Remember, we documented him falling down the order a little bit and then fighting his way back up to second, getting around BJ Fulton, who ends up finishing in third there, rounding out the GTP podium. Then we've got Dylan Scott finishing in 4th place, Michael Bolton finishing in 5th place, Michael Johnson in 6th place in the GTP cars. And then this is going to be your overall running order. So Matt Steele right there finishing in 7th. That's actually your GT3 winner in class. Doug Baccioni is going to finish 8th overall, but 2nd in class. Larry Haas rounding out your GT3 podium, finishing 9th overall. Mark Rondeau in the 10th spot, but 4th in class in GT3s. Then across the page, we've got Jeffrey Shulam, Robert Leclerc, John Momeyer, Jim Slavic. Those are the cars rounding out the rest of the GT3 class that did not have any problems. Jad Duncan back there was a GTP car. You see Sagar Dawan 3 laps down. Remember, he was our pole sitter, our race leader throughout all of the race until he finally found trouble in turn 8 several times, and then turn number 1 took him out. And then Federico Del Toro and Will Castillo also did not finish today's race. Well, it looks like we've got, I believe, Matt Steele, who is our GT3 class winner. Seb's going to be catching up with him here in the commentary booth, and we'll start off our post-race interviews with our GT3 class winner. Going to go ahead and bring him down right here into the booth.
Hello.
Hello there, Matt. Yeah, congratulations to your victory in the GT3 class. Yeah, very, very interesting race, of course, for you, I guess, with the changing conditions.
Oh, yeah. It was definitely one of the most races I've ever had. I'm not sure I was in control the entire time.
Yeah, maybe nobody was, but you did it the best way possible. Also creating a gap. Are you over the course of the race, did you check more in the mirror or did you concentrate on your line?
I just concentrated on trying to keep the tires cool and trying to keep the car rotated the way it needed to be rotated. I was just rotating on brakes and throttle the whole time, trying to just stay clean and stay out of trouble. And I knew if I could do that, I could build a gap. So yeah, that's what I focused on.
Yeah, short arms on your doors, but yeah, great hunger for the victory, of course. What are you looking forward to next race?
Dry track, hopefully. Not sure where we're going to be, but yeah, I'm excited. I spent a lot of time developing this car in the last couple of weeks, and it's really very enjoyable to drive, especially in the dry. So I'm looking forward to getting to experience that in the race.
Yeah, of course. And as far as I know, it's my homestead. It's the Nürburgring.
Ooh, oh, that'll be great.
Yeah, also for Porsches, of course. It's
yes,
great.
Yes.
Yeah, oh, a great livery, great drive, and great victory, of course. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Anything else to add from you? Anyone you want to greet?
Oh, just shout out to the guys at the POC Club. It's really fun to get involved with this stuff, and yeah, enjoying it.
Great. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you so much.
That was Matt Steele driving that number 5 GT3 car, your winner in that class. We've also caught up with our second place in GT3, Doug Boccignoni. We're going to be bringing him down here into the commentary booth, give him a quick interview. Let's grab Doug and drag him down in here. Doug, congratulations on the second place finish here at Road America. Well, let's see if we got Doug on audio here. Doug, you got a copy with us? We're going to go ahead see if Doug can maybe get his stuff figured out up there. And then I believe we're going to be coupling up a few more interviews right now. I think we're going to be bringing in our overall race leader, Ezra Kelderman, winning the GTP class. Congrats. I know that you were a little bit kind of behind, Sagar, and it kind of fell into your lap, but congrats anyways, man. A victory is a victory. Uh-oh, Ezra, I think we got you on mute right there. You able to unmute? We got you?
How's that?
There we go. Now we got you loud and clear.
My bad. Yeah, that was unexpected, but yeah, Saga ran into some trouble, and I think this race was really just about trying not to die.
Talk to us about the mixed weather conditions and the GTPs. It seemed like it was a little bit of a handful. Turn 8 especially seemed to catch a lot of the drivers out.
Yeah, honestly, my biggest trouble was turn 1. I think there's a few corners on the track, especially in the first half of the race. There was just a little dip or a puddle, and it seemed if you were going too slow, you would actually get the car to wag. So you had to commit and get as much aero as you could through it. But yeah, the conditions didn't change as much as I thought they would over the race. In the end, I thought I was going to find a lot more pace, but I just started kind of running into incidents, blowing through some braking zones. So I thought I better back it off. And yeah, it was just the puddles and the dips were really tricky throughout.
You didn't say visibility at all. And I mean, you spent the first, 5 or 6 laps tucked up behind cars. What was that like to try to fight your way into the clean windshield?
Yeah, good point. That was a nightmare. Yeah, for a while there, I was trying to decide whether to make a move on BJ or not, and if I could rely on my ERS system or whatever, which there was a bug or something, I couldn't adjust it. So, yeah, at one point, I think I had a little better run on him through the kink, and it's always tough to get around someone there, even if you have pace, just because of how the straightaway kind of wags back and forth. So I figured if I'm going to do it, I better do it now, and let's see what it's like with no spray for a bit, which was honestly, it was weird adjusting to that even. It was like, wow, I can see now what do I do?
Well, I think you adapted very well. You walked away with a victory, so you kept it on the paved stuff. Congrats on that. Is there anybody you want to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Yeah, shout out to you guys for running this every event. So really appreciate what you're doing.
Well, that was Ezra Kelderman driving the blue and yellow number 14 car here today, winning overall in GTP. I think we're going to be catching up with Dustin Heindel next. Seb has walked down pit lane and caught up with him.
Dustin, are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Great stuff. How was the spray? I mean, you had much fight.
Oh man, it was bad. I mean, I was trying to stay in front, but then I kept making small mistakes. And then when you get behind someone, it's pretty hard to see. But everybody kind of made some mistakes at some point. So it's just battle of the least mistakes, I guess.
Yeah, we also saw like you took the position into the last corner where the car in front had some wiggling going on.
Yeah, they had a mistake, but I actually wasn't trying to like break down the inside like that. It was just I was trying to break as much as I could, and it just happened to kind of stick my nose right there. So it was a little bit. Go ahead, sorry.
No, you continue.
I was gonna say, and then another time I hit a curb, and it was like Mario Kart just launched my car sideways, like unrecoverable. The rain in these cars are really unfriendly.
Yeah, it is. I mean, in the GT3s, it's a little bit better. Also, the Porsche in the GT3 class is quite good in the rain, but I can't imagine with the changing conditions, line drying out a little bit in the GTPs. That's very, very difficult, of course, and also with the elevation in the track. I mean, braking was more like on eggshells, right?
Yeah, because the elevation is huge because a lot of the apex is like, I don't know the turn numbers very well, but there's, after the long straight, there's a left, and then the uphill left, that one you have to be super careful about, and then there's a couple more corners in downhill left. Those are probably the two scariest where you can easily spin it. I think I did spin on that second one one time, and then Dylan did on the next lap, and we got each other back, basically.
Mm-hmm.
If you have ABS, it's not that bad, but without ABS, it's like you're always, eggshells is definitely the best term to put it on.
That, as we see right now in the replay, that moment where you had to go around the GT3 together in the carousel.
It was the carousel? Oh yeah, there was another time where I kind of bumped a GT3. I actually went off track to kind of bump him back forward because I felt bad that I bumped him. I was going around the right, and then he kind of cut me off a little bit, and then I was behind him, and then he braked, and I just wasn't going to make the braking, or I was going to lock up or something anyway. And then, unfortunately, I don't know if that'll be reviewed, but sorry to him. Who I think it was Jeff or Jim. I think it was the J. But other than that, I think it was kind of fun, though. Fun challenge. Everybody else had the same struggle, so,
Yeah, I think one spin can happen, of course, or such an incident, and I think he will appreciate that you excuse for that. So, still on the podium, second place. Great drive. Congratulations for that.
Yeah, thank you. I'm just getting used to this car, so this first season I'm kind of excited to get good at it, especially in the rain, because if they do an iRacing hosted thing with like an endurance race, I'd like to be, I think with all the time we'll put into the car this season, I'll actually feel confident driving in the official races.
Yes, true. That's true.
Yeah, because otherwise, like, it's hard to get myself to drive, because it's like kind of not fun at first, but you're doing it with your friends, so it makes it fun, so then you learn it, and then when you get decent at it, it's like, okay, well now I can kind of have fun and do this maybe in some online sessions.
Yeah, that's all in the end what's it about, having fun on the track with your friends or other drivers all over the world. So, and anything you want to greet?
Want to greet?
Shout out.
Oh, shout out? I mean, I guess my wife for helping me out, taking care of the kids while I'm able to go sim race in the back in the evening.
I feel you. Same here.
Yeah. But yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Congratulations again, Dustin. See you next time.
Thanks. Have a good day.
That was Dustin Heindel driving that number 13, and I think we've got one final interview coming in here. Doug Bacchignone, congratulations on finishing second here at Road America in the GT3 cars.
Thanks a lot, Joey. It was a lot of fun.
Talk to us about the mixed weather conditions. There was a lot of cars that went up and down through the order, but you seem to keep it pretty consistent today.
Yeah, well, this is the first time I've experienced the wet weather sim in iRacing, so it was a little bit challenging, particularly in qualifying. But it's just like real life racing. You just got to find the dry line and try to stay out of trouble.
Now, I know that the GTP cars had a few sections of the racetrack where they really struggled at. We didn't see the GT3s have one particular corner that was a trouble spot. Was there anything that we didn't catch that was kind of a nerve-wracking corner every time you came up to it?
Yeah, Canada corner was pretty tough, and I struggled on the final corner. That's where I got caught going into the first turn by John Millmeyer. But I think anytime you try to carry too much speed into these corners in wet conditions, it's not going to work out too well.
It generally tends to be what happens. It just goes sliding off of the racetrack when you don't want it to. But Doug, you had a fantastic race here today. Is there anybody you want to give a shout out to or say thank you to?
Yeah, I want to thank my wife for supporting my racing, and also thank my family and friends who helped me move this weekend, and especially Chris Wysocki for helping me get my sim set up so I could do this race.
Moving plus setting up a sim, that is a good friend right there. That was Doug Boccignone finishing second in the GT3 class today, and it's going to wrap up our broadcast. Just want to say thank you once again to our sponsors, Porsche. There is no substitute. Find out more at Porsche.com. Also, Game Changer Wealth, helping you become a game changer with wealth. Contact them today at GameChangerBR.com or give them a call at 225-664-2565. And of course, thanks to the team today. That includes Seb, Christian, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media, website, and merchandise store. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. The next time out for POC is going to be the Nürburgring, Monday, August 26th, the same exact time, 10 p.m. Eastern, so make sure to come back here and watch all of the action. Be sure to check out all of the other broadcasts on GSRC as well. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.
Wow.